The shocking incident involving Kirk and Rasheeda has taken everyone by surprise, sending the internet into a frenzy. Witnesses report that things escalated quickly, with Kirk completely losing control, leading to a terrifying attack that left Rasheeda shaken. What began as a small argument quickly spiraled out of control, becoming something far more intense. Sources close to the couple say that tensions between them had been building up for a while, and this night, everything reached a breaking point. At first, the argument seemed like one of those everyday disagreements that couples have. Rasheeda, known for her calm demeanor, tried to keep things under control. She didn't want the situation to get out of hand, especially since they were in public. But Kirk was already on edge, his frustration clearly building up. Witnesses recall seeing him pacing back and forth, his voice growing louder with each passing moment. Rasheeda, realizing the situation was escalating, tried to walk away, but Kirk blocked her path. His face was filled with anger, and he continued his tirade. As the argument became more intense, onlookers began noticing the scene and began recording with their phones. The atmosphere was tense, and it became clear this wasn't just a typical marital disagreement, it was something much more serious. People could feel the anger in the air, and the expression on Kirk's face made it obvious that things were spiraling out of control. Then, something shocking happened. In a moment of pure rage, Kirk lashed out. Although the exact details of what happened next are still unclear, one thing is certain: Rasheeda was left in shock. A gasp rippled through the crowd as they tried to process what they had just witnessed. Rasheeda, clearly hurt and disbelieving, stumbled backward, unsure of what to make of the situation. She had never expected Kirk to cross the line like this. Not in a million years. He had always been reckless with his emotions. But this felt different. It was personal. Something she could never forgive or forget. A voice from the crowd immediately called out, "Yeah, Kirk, what the hell?" Some people rushed forward to comfort Rasheeda while others confronted Kirk. But by then, the damage was done. The moment was captured on video, and within minutes, it began circulating on social media. Hashtags like Protect Rasheeda and Kirk Frost Exposed started trending as people voiced their outrage. The internet was on fire, demanding answers. Did Kirk really go too far this time? What caused him to explode like this? And, most importantly, how was Rasheeda holding up? Back at the scene, Rasheeda was still trying to process what had just happened. Her hands were shaking as she reached for her phone, trying to escape the chaos surrounding her. Meanwhile, Kirk stood there, seemingly frozen, his face unreadable. For a brief moment, it almost seemed like he regretted what he had done, like he wanted to take it all back. But that moment passed quickly. His jaw tightened, and without saying a word, he turned and stormed off into the night. The situation was far from over. As soon as Rasheeda's closest friends were informed, they immediately sprang into action. Scrappy, one of Kirk's longtime friends, was one of the first to hear about the incident and wasted no time calling him. The conversation was tense, filled with disbelief and anger. "What the hell is wrong with you, man? You really lost your damn mind," Scrappy said, his voice filled with frustration. But Kirk wasn't in the mood to talk and barely acknowledged Scrappy's words before hanging up. Meanwhile, Rasheeda, back at home, was breaking down. She had locked herself in her bedroom, away from the outside world, trying to make sense of the events that had just unfolded. Her phone kept buzzing with messages from friends, family, and fans, some offering support, others demanding answers. The media had already picked up the story and was running with it, portraying Kirk as the villain. But Rasheeda couldn't bring herself to respond to any of it. She was overwhelmed, and the reality of what had happened was too much to handle. Some insiders suggested that Kirk had been under a lot of pressure lately, dealing with personal struggles and business issues. Could this finally have pushed him over the edge? Or was this behavior something that had been building up for years? Had Kirk's anger finally reached a point where he couldn't control it anymore? Or was this just who he had become, a man consumed by his emotions? As Rasheeda sat there, reading the headlines, she realized that the incident wasn't just about that one night. It was about everything: the years of betrayal, the times she had forgiven him, the way she had always tried to hold things together while Kirk did whatever he wanted. And now it had come to this, a public humiliation she would never be able to forget. But the real question was, what would she do next? Would she finally walk away for good? Would she press charges? Or would Kirk find a way to downplay the incident and make it seem like it wasn't as bad as people were making it out to be? While Rasheeda tried to figure out her next move, the chaos surrounding Kirk and Rasheeda's altercation only intensified. Social media exploded with reactions, and news outlets jumped on the story. By midnight, nearly every major gossip blog had published something about it, adding new layers to the scandal. Fans flooded Rasheeda's Instagram with messages of support, while Kirk's comments turned into a battleground of outrage. Kirk, however, had gone silent. After storming off, he completely disappeared, ignoring all calls and refusing to speak to anyone, even his closest friends. Some speculated that he was hiding out in a hotel, trying to avoid the backlash, while others believed he was figuring out how to spin the situation before it got any worse. His silence only made things worse. Then, just when it seemed like the drama couldn't get any bigger, a new twist emerged. An anonymous source claiming to be close to Kirk reached out to a gossip site with shocking allegations. According to the source, this wasn't the first time Kirk had lost control like this. It was just the first time it had been caught on camera. The source claimed there had been several incidents in the past where Kirk's temper had flared in private, and Rasheeda had covered for him, making excuses and brushing things under the rug to protect their image. This revelation sent shockwaves through the internet. Fans were already outraged, but now they weren't just condemning Kirk for one incident, they were questioning everything about the relationship. Had Rasheeda been suffering in silence all this time? Was Kirk more dangerous than anyone realized? People started dissecting every past argument, every tense exchange, searching for signs that this had been building up for years. The speculation grew wilder by the minute. Some fans even started a campaign demanding that Rasheeda leave Kirk for good, using the hashtag #ForRasheeda. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was still trying to figure out what to do next. She had spent years defending Kirk, standing by him despite his past betrayals, cheating scandals, and constant disrespect. She had forgiven it all. But this time, things felt different. This wasn't just another betrayal she could sweep under the rug. This time, the damage was too much to ignore. Rasheeda's best friend, Candy Burris, was one of the first to reach out to her. Candy, always protective of Rasheeda, didn't sugarcoat things. "Rasheeda, listen to me," Candy said, her voice firm. "You can't let this slide. This isn't just about you and Kirk anymore. The whole world is watching." Rasheeda rubbed her temples, overwhelmed. "I know, Candy, but you don't understand. If I go public, if I say something, it's over. Everything we built, everything we worked for, it's all gone." Candy shook her head. "Girl, it was gone the second he put his hands on you." Those words hit Rasheeda like a ton of bricks. For years, she had convinced herself that as long as she kept things behind closed doors, everything would be okay. But now, there was no hiding it. The world already knew, and Rasheeda had a decision to make. Meanwhile, Kirk was still in hiding. However, reports started circulating that he had been seen at a club in Atlanta, drinking heavily and acting like nothing had happened. Some even claimed that he had been seen with another woman, which only fueled the fire. Was Kirk really that unbothered by everything? Did he not care about the damage he had caused? Then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, a leaked voicemail surfaced online. In the recording, Kirk sounded frustrated and angry, but not at himself. He was blaming Rasheeda. "She pushed me to this," he could be heard saying. "She knows how to get under my skin, and now she's acting like the victim. Nah, I'm not about to let that happen." This voicemail only made people angrier. Instead of taking responsibility, Kirk was trying to paint himself as the real victim. Celebrities and fans alike were quick to call him out for his behavior. The backlash was swift and brutal, and soon, Kirk's reputation was in tatters. Amidst all of this, Rasheeda remained silent. She knew that whatever she said next would shape her future. If she spoke out against Kirk, their marriage would be over. But if she stayed silent, people would assume she was protecting him. Rasheeda knew that she couldn't let that happen. The next morning, Rasheeda made a decision. She picked up her phone, took a deep breath, and went live on Instagram. Thousands of viewers flooded the stream, waiting to hear what she had to say. Her voice was steady, though her hands trembled. "I know you all have a lot of questions," she began, her eyes glistening with emotion. "And I wish I could tell you that everything you've heard is a lie. But it's not. Kirk crossed the line, and I can't pretend it didn't happen." The chat exploded with messages of support, but Rasheeda wasn't done. She took a deep breath and continued. "For years, I've stood by this man. I've defended him, forgiven him, and tried to see the good in him. But this is different. I don't know what happens next, but I do know one thing. I'm done protecting someone who wouldn't do the same for me." With that, she ended the live. The moment she did, the internet erupted once again. Her emotional statement went viral, and her hashtag for Rasheeda began trending. Fans and celebrities alike praised her for finally speaking out. But the big question remained, what would she do next? Would she file for divorce? Would she stay silent, or would she finally leave Kirk for good? Kirk, however, was nowhere to be found. His Instagram was silent, and fans were left waiting for his response. Would he try to spin the situation? Or would he finally take responsibility for his actions?